Good morning, everyone. I'm Lesley Myrick, Nancy Ganzekaufer's associate coach and interior designer, and I'm here this morning with the fabulous Megan Dahle, the calculus learning numbers guru with the orange shirt and cool background. So you know she's going to be fun to listen to.
I hope so.
I hope so too, because numbers make my eyeballs roll back in my head. So today, and I love this topic because my first thought was, wait, what do you mean the right level of revenue? The topic is cultivating capacity, finding the right level of revenue. And my first thought was all the revenue, more revenue is the right level of revenue. But Megan's got something to school me on, and everyone else too. So welcome, Megan. I'm happy you're here.
Good morning. I'm so thrilled to be here. We have such fun.
I'm okay. Dive right in. I want to know, how is there a right level? What is capacity? Like, I don't want capacity. I want more money. Don't you? I'm guessing that's not the
don't we all? Right. Yeah. Make my life a little bit easier. Like, give me the security that I want in my business.
Yeah.
You remember the whole thing about supply and demand, back in high school, back in college, you kind of studied a little bit about supply and demand.
Yes.
The same thing is true for your business when it comes to two sides of the coin of your business are
diagram time,
growth and profit. Okay. There's growth and there's profit. Okay. And there are different needs that your business has depending on if it is in a growth phase or if it is in a profit phase. Because the reality is that it's very hard to get both in your business at the same time.
Interesting. Because I would assume more growth means more profit, and they sort of go, nope. Okay, I love that face.
Growth is experimental. It's broad. It's expressive. It's out there. It's finding the experiments and finding the answers. Whereas profit is precise. You're working on your processes inside your business, how you get the delivery of the things that you promised over on your growth side. And so you'll see it in the huge giant corporations that are like, well, we're really being aggressive on growth right now, going after new avenues, and their profits are way down, if not losses, right? Like Amazon lost gajillions of dollars because they were in growth mode when they were starting up.
Okay.
A lot of businesses that I work with, they go into almost a hibernation on their profit because they're trying to grow. And so if we can pause a minute and acknowledge that we either need to focus on growth right now or profit right now. It's not that you're not doing activities of the other side.
Mm-hmm.
It's where is your focus? Are you focusing on like, you know what? I have enough sales right now. I need to polish the edges to make sure that these sales are profitable. And the way that you can tell is that if you are looking at, we're going to look at these side by side. If we are looking at,
okay. So we've got, if you can't read it because it is small, sales is green, capacity is in orange.
Oh, there we go. There we go. We are experimenting with visual aids right now. Okay. So sales, you can measure your sales. You can look at the contracts that you have signed. You can look at your income statement and see what you have for sales coming in. And you can even see like what sales you have like backed up and waiting, right? You can like, okay, I know that I'm going to close probably these 3 people that I'm talking to. And I know that I have this, like, there's a confidence of what you can rely on for sales.
Yeah. Or you're in the first phase of a project and you know that there will be additional payments for additional phases coming in X months.
Right. Now, if you have that confidence and you don't have profit, you need to be working on profit in your business. You need to be working on the capacity. You need to be engineering the processes inside your business so you can understand how to make money with the sales that you already have.
Mm-hmm.
If you're finding yourself with more capacity, and that's what we're going to talk about in a minute, like I have way more capacity than I actually have sales. Like I don't know where my next sale is coming from.
You have energy, you have time, you have space for new projects. So you've got room, but you don't have the sales. The sales are lower.
Yes. That's when you want to start focusing more on the sales side of your business. You want to find a way to get consistent with your sales to match your capacity, or I can't go in the wrong way because mirrors. And on the capacity side, this is so often misunderstood what capacity means. Okay.
And capacity doesn't change. Is that what you're showing with the fact that that side hasn't? No?
Capacity could totally change.
Okay.
So let's understand what it is first. Sales, It's other people raising their hands saying, yes, I want what you have.
Yep.
Capacity is all about how we measure what you are able to get out the door, right? I love gardening. It is going to be greenhouse season here in a little bit. And I want all of it. I want everything. This year, I am limiting my capacity because I bite off way more than I can chew. I have many, many, many gardens and many, many things I want to do with my landscaping. But this year, I am focusing on the area around my patio. I have a certain square footage around my patio that I can fill with plants. Plants need space. I am limited to the number of plants that I can bring in, care for, and really foster to make the beautiful space.
Yeah.
In your business, you have a limited number of sales that you can serve. I don't care what kind of business you are limited. Somehow there is a cap on how much you can serve, how much you can get out the door and produce for your clients and your customers. So it's not about like how much you sell. It's completely unrelated to how much you can sell. It is 100% related to, I have this many hours in the day. I have this many of them that I can work on clients. I have these people working for me who also work on clients. They bill at 70%, like 70% of their time is actually on client stuff. We can calculate how much revenue you're able to take care of. And it's got nothing to do with how much revenue you actually have.
Oh, that's eye-opening.
Yeah. So the problem comes when we think this is an infinite game.
Capacity, okay. Or sales or both.
Yes, or both.
Okay.
What happens is that when we are out of balance, it's okay to be out of balance with more sales than you have capacity. It's totally okay. In fact, I would prefer this scenario to the other way, because if you have more capacity than you have sales, anything that you have for extra capacity is waste. Your resources are just being spent on things that are not producing revenue in your business. Yeah. And what actually happens is that when you have your sales next to your capacity, whatever is the lowest of these two numbers is your max revenue. I know that you have sales, but you have contracts that are signed that are worth $100,000 that you're going to be doing over the next 6 months. But if we're looking in the microcosm of the next month and we're saying, okay, I am able to bill 100 hours in the next month between me and my staff, but my sales, I've promised, 200 hours worth of work to get out by the end of that month. We have a problem. And there's many ways that we can address this. And I could go on for hours about how to address this particular problem, but by understanding what our capacity is, this is where my clients get to get real. This is where the aha moments happen. Like, you're right. I don't need more sales. How can we hone our production to get these out? So communication with clients gets a whole lot easier. Empathy with your clients gets so much easier. And like, I probably need to go hire some help, or I need to raise my prices so not as many people are raising their hands and saying, yes, please let me in. Like the prospects of how to address the pressures and the stresses changes because sales doesn't become the default answer.
Whoa. I feel like we're always like more sales, more money. But a big thing Nancy and I teach in the Profit Insiders Academy is fewer clients, more money. So that's what you're saying. The bigger, better projects, charging more for it, not having every single person say yes because you only have so much capacity. And if you're not charging enough and you don't have enough profit, you're running yourself ragged and you're not making the money you need to support your life and your business.
Right. And I 100% understand the knee-jerk reaction of I need more sales, I need more sales, I need more sales. Yeah. But without understanding what you're able to handle for those sales, you're setting up yourself for some really disappointed clients.
Yeah. And clients that are going to drain your energy and I would argue lower your capacity. When you're not doing great, exciting, life-giving work and you've got little projects that are not making money, like your capacity just it's this really terrible double-edged sword.
Yes. See, you get it.
I get it. We've all had those clients that are just, they're not the right client. And you said yes for whatever reason, and they're a drain on your time, your resources, your energy, your capacity.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes, yes. And so like my mission this last year has just been to help people get perspective on capacity, because it is a new thing. It's not found on the income statement. It's not found on the balance sheet. It's kind of this thing that you have a hunch about. Like intuition is huge in the capacity side, but people aren't given a way to quantify it. And then sure, once I quantify it, what do I measure it against? Like what's the right answer? Tell me what to do. And I'm like, no. Once you see this, you get to decide for yourself what to do. And it is so liberating. It is so liberating.
It is. And it's scary too. People are afraid to make those decisions. We get asked a lot, how many projects is the right number of projects? How many clients should I have at one time? It's like, that's up to you. What's your capacity? What fits in that container?
Yeah.
Is it 2 projects or is it 27 projects if you have a team and all the time? Like, there is not a right answer, which is terrifying and empowering, but scary too, to be able to have to stand in that space and say, this is my capacity. This is what I'm going to be able to take on. This is what I can do. And I know if I go beyond that, something's got to change.
Bang on. Bang on. In fact, one of my favorite, the impetus for this whole thing was one of my, I want to say favorite clients, but favorite, not because of how well we got along, but favorite because of the brave things that she did. Like she found it and she selected it. And like, it was actually one of Nancy's clients. She gifted a session with me and I looked at her books and I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to be so hard. This is going to be so hard. I don't know what to do here.
Tell me why it was so hard, not without going into details, like just
the decisions that were in front of her had to be so dramatic in order to get her out of her spot. And especially when they're that dramatic, I can't tell a client what to do, right? It has to come from inside them, because I can't say, hey, I need you to go jump off a cliff, right?
I can't, but it might not be well received.
Right. I expect them to be like, okay, let's go jump off a cliff.
Yeah.
If they can see for themselves that the best route is off the cliff, it's internal. And she could decide for that. And she made some really, really tough choices that within her community, I could see from my perspective, I would have seen them as very embarrassing to have to do, to back up that far and take another run at my business. The people that she had to let go of, like with tight personal relationships. And the thing is, she did it. Like she went from losing money month after month after month for years to paying off $250,000 in debt in 1 year. She came back a month later and she said, I did it. I did these things, and this is how it turned out for me. And this is what's next. And she came to me with the answers instead of the other way around that people sometimes expect from their coach.
I think that's coaching, is holding space for people and giving people that coaching can really help you get out of like the weeds in the forest and get that 1,000-foot view.
Yes.
And really see the bigger picture and give you the time and space to make those hard decisions. And of course, you probably knew what she needed to do, jump off the cliff, but letting her come to that intuition that you mentioned earlier is so important here, of trusting that you know the right thing to do.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of having the courage to go forward and make those hard choices sometimes when it comes to money or staff or capacity or, all those things that interplay together in running a business.
Yeah. Yeah. And the hard thing is like being able to see it in the numbers as to what needs to take place and not having the same language to talk about it. Right. Like I can look at your balance sheet and look at your, but until we have a common language where we can come together and she can describe back to me what she sees and I can describe to her, like in a format where it's not like, oh, you're right, because your cash flow is going to blah, blah, blah. Instead, like paint the picture of how the new being will work. That's what's most impactful, I think.
Yeah. Showing people what the numbers mean, not just telling, here are the numbers. Because most of us go like, okay, what does that even mean?
Yeah. That's why this stuff is so important to me. I want people to be able to like see it, not have to look at their balance sheet or financial statements. My bookkeeper doesn't know what they're, yes, they do. They just don't speak the same language.
That's really good insight. Your bookkeeper does probably know what they're doing. They're just not communicating it in a way that you can understand.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So then, okay, this cultivating capacity idea. I'm oversimplifying. How does one find the right level of revenue? What's the key takeaway here on profit versus growth and revenue? These are big, scary words, but important.
Once you know how to find it for your right now, for your status quo, you can start to play with it. Like, well, how would it look in the future? If I am over capacity right now, you have decisions. Do I want to decrease my capacity or do I want to increase my sales? And what is the gamble that I'm taking when I do that? Right? Am I going to gamble? It's both are an experiment, but we can set a thesis and say, okay, if I decrease my capacity to match my sales, am I shooting myself in the foot 3 months from now when I know that I have 3 contracts that are all of a sudden going to be in this very busy phase all at the same time? What are my resources? What's going to get me to those 3 months? Like, you can start to ask yourself the questions of, what is the future going to look like if I do this, or what if I do this instead? And then you can make your own informed decision without somebody like telling you an answer. There are many gurus who would be more than happy to sell you their marketing thing.
Clear on this. You're talking about decreased capacity. So an example could be, and correct me if I'm wrong, I have a team member who's part-time. My sales aren't enough to support the team member, so I'm going to let that team member go, which lowers my capacity, but is more in alignment with the actual workload with my sales. But what you're saying, in a few months, you've got 3 contracts coming in. Is that short-sighted, letting go of a team member? Yes. That's tricky, big little decisions.
I would love to give you a straightforward answer and say, this is the way it is, but that would make business way too easy.
Yeah.
Like this is a game of, it's a game. Like, it's chess. You got to be looking down the road sometimes. And sometimes you just got to look at the more immediate threat of being in checkmate. And my husband and I had this recent discussion around the campfire the other night. He was a debater in high school. I was a debater in high school. I was really good. He was really terrible. He's now a very successful debate coach. And the thing is, like, I couldn't understand how he could love debate so much and not love geometry or geometry proofs. I love geometry proofs, right? Like, it's the same. You are giving evidence to get to a conclusion. It's the same thing as debate. He's like, no. Debate is a game of strategy because you're always playing with the judge's mind as to what. I'm like, Debate is a critique of your intelligence, right? Like, me not winning a round was like a failure of me as a person of not being smart enough for that judge. And he's like, no, it's a game. Like, you know who the squirrely judges are, and you go throw the weird stuff at them, and boom, like, so for him, it was a game. And he could see the big picture and how the pieces move. I could never see that. And that's why he's successful as a coach in debate. And I was successful in debate because my identity depended on it. But I probably could have been more successful had I understood that there was a strategy behind it and not just, me as a person. I don't know if that analogy helps at all, but
it's fascinating though. I've never done debate, but interesting that you pull, like, if this is about you as a person versus playing the game, and they're 2 different things. And that does tie into business, like how you as a person want to show up in business is one way to do it, or it's a game. It's numbers, and like you've said the word experiment a few times, and I love that. It's experimenting. It's trying things out and seeing what sticks. And if it doesn't work, what can you learn from it? And there are some rules, there are guidelines, but if this were easy, everyone would have a business and be profitable.
Oh, 100% for sure. Yeah. And that's one of the things I really want small business owners to understand and embody, is that they are not their business, right? Like, so many times we get wrapped up in our identity. I just was talking to an architect last week, and she's like, if I don't offer a 2-week turnaround, like, I have no business, right? Like, that's me as a person. It's my integrity on the line. I'm like, is it?
Does it have? It might be, but does it have to be that way?
Right.
Okay, so we've just like opened a huge can of worms here.
Oh, and so many worms.
So it's wonderful. Megan, if designers are watching and they're like, I need help with this. This is something that I don't know how to play the game. How can you support designers or anyone who's watching and maybe needs help with the I want to say the emotional side of numbers, but this isn't the bookkeeping side of numbers. This is something different than just the profit and loss and balance sheet that your bookkeeper is wonderfully cranking out for you every month.
Yeah, so I do run an office hours on Thursdays called, ironically, Bookkeeping Club, and we talk through this stuff, the numbers stuff. We have a little lesson on sales and capacity. We talk about your numbers, sales and capacity, and how you're calculating it to make sure that you're doing it, right. We want that confidence. We want that somebody looking over our shoulders. And it's just, it's a great place where it's safe to talk about these things and not feel dumb. And there are those who want more support than just the group call. And even though that we do jump in very intimately with the people on the call, they're just like, can we just spend a day together? I offer that too, but I really encourage you to try Bookkeeping Club first. Could save you a lot of money and you could get a lot of impact from that.
I'm curious. I'm going to go check that out when we're done talking here. Because I know I'm like, I've maybe like subtly I've unintentionally considered these things, and I've never really sat down. Like I said, the topic threw me. I was like, what do you mean the right level of revenue? So this has been really eye-opening, Megan.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad.
Money is definitely a scary, well, I say that for myself, but I think I speak for a lot of designers. Money is a scary topic. We are creative. We are intuitive. We are right-brained. We are visual, and numbers are just like, bleh. I don't want to look at it. So I love that you're putting this in a way that's literally colorful, and there's little bugs on your diagram and fun. You're presenting.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I really want people to embrace it in a way that is comforting and feels like home, and you can see the good things that you're doing and not just the wrong things.
I think that's so important because, like, you're doing good. Most of us are doing fine, and there's always room for improvement and learning. And these are things that you can get the support you need and fix before they become cliff jumping problems in your business.
Right. Yes.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Megan. If you guys are interested in learning more, megandahle.com has lots of information, as does the Megan herself. And she's here every month for our money management talk. So, Megan, thank you. And I'm looking forward to chatting again next month.
My pleasure. Looking forward to it. Thanks,
Bye,
Lesley.
everyone.